All right, and welcome back to the Re-Evolutionary YouTube Tribe. YouTube Tribe again. Blah, 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 blah. All right, hello, and welcome back to the Re-Evolutionary Tribe YouTube channel. That's why I call it the R Tribe for the most part, because it is kind of like, I mean, it is a play on words, re-evolutionary, right? We're always re-evolving, and it is going to be very revolutionary relative to how we've been doing things so far, where it's a dog eat dog world, and the rich are laughing at us. Eventually, I'll probably have see, I have all these memes. I'm collecting them, but yet I gotta find them and put them in there. I'll take care of it eventually later. I know this is not as exciting and whatever as these other guys with their yeah. I'll eventually put in the what's it called, the subtitles and the little quirky whatever references or memes and gifs. And but like I said before in other videos, once you see what I'm working on, you're like, okay, I understand why Dan didn't do all this fluff, and also separated everybody. It separated those that were just, I want to be distracted. I just want this beep beep every 6 seconds, change frames, zoom, blah blah blah, right? So that has neurological problems that it does that, but it seems like we have to do that because we've been so overstimulated. So anyway, so I am your host with the most, and the de facto chief of the Revolutionary Tribe, also known as Dan the Man with $1 billion plans. And those plans are to basically take your donations and buy existing and build new companies, primarily digital first, because as I'll show you guys later in my video, and it'll be in the description, the video link eventually, even all the other videos. And maybe even at the end showing you to click on it, or even a card to pop up. Eventually I'll put it back up there. Eventually I'll put it up there in the future videos. One thing at a time, people, one thing at a time. That's what I gotta tell myself, one thing at a time, one thing at a time. We'll explain to you basically the strategy and why you would want to donate basically as much as you can, because just like anything else, right? Fucking mosquitoes. Like anything else, right? I mean, I'm not okay. I'm not gonna get too lost in it. Just stay tuned, all right? So, but the point is, when you eliminate greed, there's enough for everybody's needs. I'm trying. My life here is to become very wealthy and be very transparent with the public and showing, like, listen, I could have paid myself this money, given the narrative that we've been told about money and everything else. Right? It's my money. I worked for it. It was my ideas. It came from long hours of sacrificing, partying, chasing women, all this other stuff. Right? And of course, I also knew that when you chase excellence, as they say, would basically just chase the money. Everything else comes pretty much easily. Now, does the money solve all the problems? No, but it does solve like 90% of them, right? What's inside, that's a whole other story, because we've seen rich people who off themselves, rich and famous, off themselves. It's like, why would you off themselves? Because money and fame doesn't guarantee total happiness, right? More and more things does not mean you're gonna have some. You're not gonna be fulfilled. So, but everybody has to go through their path and eventually become aware of that. But anyways, but the point is, since you donated to me without any expectation of anything in return, then therefore the money that I will gift you right back, or gift you, not really back. I'm just gifting you because I want to give to you, right? To show that, that yes, though some people may take that money and squander it, that the majority of you, which like God says, the human spirit doesn't fall, whatever, it something, it rises up to the occasion or something like that. So we let the media magnify, like, oh yeah, look at these welfare recipients, they're just rotting. It's like, okay, and even if they are rotting, so what? Let them rot. At least that it's not a sore sight for us, and not to deal with junkies. Let them be junkies in their house, right? Deliver the fucking junk to them. Let them live, right? Truly love. We say we're a Christian nation, but it's like, don't judge, and da, 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 da. It's like, but y'all judging all the time, man. It's like we have machines, technology, everything now to make everything abundant, but yet we choose to make everything scarce, because we're still playing this money measuring game. Oh God, I can't wait to get to the part where we talk about money in these books, and I'm going to be making special videos just on that alone, because God laid a good foundation, some principles of how to design a better society, right? when it comes to money. But all right, I digress. Again, so yeah. Anyways, the donations you give back, right? Because I will be gifting you, gifting you out of the kindness of my heart. It's just a gift, so therefore it's not taxable income. So I know some of you are probably going to go to H&R Block, even though I've given you everything you need to do, right? Some of you who will not be paying attention or have paying attention, right? You're going to skip that part or whatever. You might go to H&R Block, you might go to some other accountant or whatever, and you're going to forget to tell them that this money just, came from just from the donation, and they're going to include it as taxable income, and you're going to get taxed. Even though I already showed you and pointed you to the guy who shows you that in reality, what the Congress is doing is illegal. And as long as you know your law, just like if you're a lawyer, right? And a cop's trying to tell you what you know is not true, be like, yo, I'm a lawyer, bro. I know the statute. I know the law. Like you can't play with me like you can play with any other citizen, right? I know the law, right? And because you have a badge does not mean you actually understand the law, represent the whole law, because there's levels to it, right? We have to go to. Luckily, we live in a system where we have to go to court. Is it perfect? No. Is it slow sometimes? Is there technicalities that sometimes, people who's supposed to go to jail should have gone to jail, but they win because of the technicality? Yes, but again, that's on the public to understand the difference that not everything.
3 hours 45 minutes.
Not everything that is legal was moral or is moral, right? So perfect example, slavery was legal. Now obviously we know that is immoral, right? Other thing is, also things that are illegal, right? Like prostitution, we will eventually know like, hey, we were actually abusing the soul by not allowing women, basically, primarily women, but there'll be some few guys, the guys that really look really good looking, I guess, and especially in the gay community, I guess. But the point is, because that's where it's more rampant or whatever, I'm just saying. Obviously, it's always going to be a women-dominated thing. And by always, I mean until men actually have some self-control. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Again, it's like Neale Donald, like Conversation with God says, right? Like, it's a slow process for evolution to happen, all right? So, and yes, men, it is ultimately our fault. And I'm basically, let me quantify this, all right? When I say it's men's fault, and you're the man who's broke and doesn't have any influence, I'm not talking about you. Well, hold on. Well, it takes two to tango, all right? So the man who's broke and lazy, who's giving all his money to a guy who's very wealthy, whatever, right? He's the guy that's causing all this, right? Basically, rich men created feminism, right, amongst a bunch of other social engineering tactics to keep the average man down, because it's men who will actually be a threat to other men. Women are not a threat to men in general, right? In general, yes, she can kill you when you're sleeping, like the Lorena Bobbitt. She can cut off your wee or whatever, and they'll laugh at it on The View, and yet men are the misogynistic ones, and just, oh my god. Anywho, but all right, sorry. So yeah, if you want to know more about the project, like I said, the videos will eventually there'll be a link in the description. Eventually, I'll put a card. Eventually, probably put it at the end of the thing, and you can click on the video to see what I will be doing with your donation. And you're gonna be like, Dan, take my money, come on, man, yeah, Dan, do it, right? Because, within every, even though I'm not advocating for any more presidents and politicians, right? There's still gonna be powerhouses, right? So the powerhouses would be eventually when everything's cooperative, you're not really going to have owners of company, but again, you're always going to have someone with a vision or the information, right, to start something, and then everybody else builds upon it, and then they give that person respect. So that person will be, in theory, the president or king or queen of that particular business, right? And they can sustain itself by providing to the public, and the public, obviously it's like, okay, I'm buying from you, then it will sustain. So I'm just saying the water company, the farm companies, right, will have their say, but also you as a buyer can also have your say. You're like, okay, this farm doesn't believe in that man-made chemicals to feed the crop is not a bad thing, and this farmer says, no, I like to keep everything like nature designed it, right? People will know that, and they would vote, right? Now, of course, one can produce, let's say, plenty, but what if that one that can produce plenty actually, for the price of producing plenty, right, it shortens your lifespan, right? Just like for the price of having so much variety of food, but they have to fill it with all kinds of chemicals that your body's gonna have to fight off through inflation, and you're gonna feel like shit. The price is that you have a shorter life. But someone can say, well, shorter life, but I had a life at least. I didn't deny myself all these pleasures. I thought pleasure was good, and da 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 da. It's a delicate balance. There is no right or wrong anyway, so there's no winning or losing. So just do your best, right? And eventually things will unfold. But what else? Anyways, yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I can't believe I have to say that to a certain degree. I mean, whatever. Because my main thing is to eventually, obviously, have once I have people doing that, once basically I cross over 3,000, that's the main goal. I know it's going to shoot over, but 3,000 is the let's say the super critical mass that we have to reach for and I want to keep it small anyways. As you see, the more we keep the group small, right? If we hit this target and you say, hey, just stop, I'll give you more money, I'll give you more than $50 a month, just as long as you don't take any more, and you just keep that money and investing it, and yeah, so that way I can basically oh my god, you guys don't even know. All right, I digress. Let's begin the show.
There's so much I want to ask. There's so many questions. Suppose I should start with the big ones, the obvious ones. Like, why is the world in the shape it's in?
Of all the questions man has asked of God, this is the one asked most often. From the beginning of time, man has asked it. From the first moment to this, you have wanted to know, why must it be like this? The classic posing of the question is usually something like, if God is all perfect and all loving, why would God create pestilence and famine, war and disease, earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes, and all manner of natural disaster, deep personal disappointment and worldwide calamity? The answer to this question lies in the deeper mystery of the universe and the highest meaning of life. I do not show my goodness by creating only what you call perfection all around you. I do not demonstrate my love by not allowing you to demonstrate yours.
That right there is a quote I use a lot. God will not demonstrate its love by not allowing you to demonstrate yours. Think about that.
As I've already explained, you cannot demonstrate love until you can demonstrate not loving. A thing cannot exist without its opposite, except in the world of the absolute. Yet the realm of the absolute was not...
So, realm of the absolute. So again, now I in the last video I refined this a little better, right? So remember, you are not a part of God, meaning that you're over here and God's over here. Okay, you are a part. So you're within, right? This is just kind of trying to give a visual image of if you can visualize God, right? So this space, right, is where God is, and you're within, right? So again, these aren't, as I say here, it's an imaginary line, just so your physical mind can understand it, but this has no limit, right? God has no limit. So, but your essence, right, is within God, right? It eventually divides itself. Well, first, it seems like there's nothing there, right? It's just vapors, right? But you can't see those vapors because, first of all, human bodies don't exist. So eyeballs don't exist. So it cannot be observed. It can only be felt and known. Then eventually these energies coalesce or condense into one what we would call a solid particle, and then these things basically, there's two ways of viewing. You can either view it that way, or just these things emerge out of nowhere. All right, so then it divides itself into many different souls, right, and then also creates a lot of realms, right, and then so what you have, right, again, this is basically, okay, you're zooming out even more. right? Or zooming in, and this is what you'll see. You see souls looking around at different realms that they want to play in, right? Think of realms, dimensions, universe, whatever, as playgrounds, right? And then eventually there's the physical body, and the souls are hovering around the physical dimensions, and they'll enter physical bodies or whatever. Fuck, I forgot what we're talking about here.
Sufficient for either you or me. I existed.
All right, in the realm of the absolute. All right, so when they're talking about that, I'm talking about this basically. Well, oops. In the realm of the absolute, right? Whether when it was in its one particle form, or just its pure vapor form, right? Since there is nothing, right? There's nothing. There's no. Since there's nothing individualized, it's all one mass thing. Especially, okay, let's say at this point too, right? There's only one, right? Well, in this realm of absolute, right? This is the time of. Okay, there's different times in the realms of the absolute. So, in what we would call the very beginning of the cycle, really, because it's a cycle, really. There is, therefore there's no end. But in the reset of the cycle, right? When it does this again, when it becomes from vapor, right, to raw and what we call raw energy or antimatter, and then it becomes this matter, right? Actually, it'll still be antimatter because this thing will eventually divide itself into the souls, right? So, hold on.
There in the Yahweh. Yet the realm of the absolute was not sufficient for either you or me.
Yeah, see? It wasn't sufficient because now God is using you or me loosely. Obviously, there's only one of us. So when it says I, it means you, and you means I. The great I, right? Whatever. So what you mean by it wasn't sufficient is that, imagine this is you. This is like you on an island, right? Now, of course, an island may have animals, trees, and all sorts of stuff. But I'm saying just think of it as like a bare island with just sand. And, okay, cool, it's sand. But it's like, can you really have a relationship with the sand? Except for the fact that it's your ground and whatever, right? So this realm was insufficient because basically it felt loneliness, right? In human terms, it felt loneliness. It felt to be alone. Therefore, that's why it divided itself. Now it has companionship, right? And so forth and so on.
I existed there in the always, and it is from where you too have come. In the absolute, there is no experience, only knowing. Knowing is a divine state. Yet the grandest joy is in being. Being is achieved only after experience. The evolution is this: knowing, experiencing, being.
All right, so let's take that. Knowing, experiencing, being. I got that right, did I?
The evolution is this: knowing, experiencing, being. This is the Holy Trinity, the triune that is God. God the Father is knowing, the parent of all understandings,
like knowing that I'm going to be a decabillionaire, even though, see, it'd be kind of, okay, so I guess from one perspective, I will not be a decabillionaire because I'm going to give more of my profits that would put me in the billionaire bracket back to the people. But if, like I say, hey, I could have taken this additional money because, again, I did all the work, right? I did all the painstaking research to make all the connections, to make the innovative products and services, right? And, of course, manage the companies and yada, 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 and all this other stuff, right? Even though I will be hiring some of you, again, I can't do it alone, but you guys got to have the talent for me to put you in the position, So, yeah, eventually, I will have some help, but we're still going to do work, right? So even though the way, again, the system is now, based on how the general public agrees, or even if they don't agree, right? If I make all this money, then it's all mine, right? After I pay all my employees, right? I'll pay them what the market rate is, right? Whatever's acceptable, even if it's a living wage or not, right? That's not my concern. Even though I will build systems for them to show me that I'm not wasting my money, right? But the point is, I'm gonna track of the money that was the money that was given that I could have taken and spent on myself, right? So when I track all that, eventually when I hit that billionaire mark, like, oh yeah, see, had I not given this person an extra, I don't know, $1,000, right, kept it for myself, I would have been a billionaire right now, right? But again, I know that eventually I'm going to have enough influence because of how I'm going to lay out the ideas and the visions, right? That you guys are just going to give me your money, right? So it doesn't even matter about my money. You guys are just going to give me your money to have this project completed because you want to experience what I've engineered in my head, you know? So, but anyways.
Better of all experience, for you cannot experience that which you do not know. God the Son is experiencing the embodiment, the acting out of all that the Father knows of itself, for you cannot be that which you have not experienced. God the Holy Spirit is being, the disembodiment of all that the Son has experienced of itself, the simple, exquisite isness possible only through the memory of the knowing and experiencing. This simple being is bliss. It is God's state after knowing and experiencing itself. It is that for which God yearned in the beginning. Of course, you're well past the point where you must have it explained to you that the Father-Son descriptions of God have nothing to do with gender.
4 hours.
I use here the picturesque speech of your most recent scriptures. Much earlier holy writings placed this metaphor in a mother-daughter context. Neither is correct. Your mind can best hold the relationship as parent-offspring, or that which gives rise to and that which is risen. Adding the third part of the Trinity produces this relationship: that which gives rise to, that which is risen, that which is. This triune reality is God's signature. It is the divine pattern.
Right? Just like up here. God, I hate it when it does that. Oop, I guess I could just zoom out, right? Just like up here, right? Highest self, soul, body, right? And obviously in the body's within the physical realm, but so I guess you can just, this was me trying to show, I already put it together, damn it. Yeah, so highest self, soul, which is your higher self, and then you have your body, which is the self. Body, self, exact same thing.
The three in one is everywhere found in the realms of the sublime. You cannot escape it in matters dealing with time and space, God and consciousness, or any of the subtle relationships. On the other hand, you will not find the triune truth in any of life's gross relationships. The triune truth is recognized in life's subtle relationships by everyone dealing with such relationships. Some of your religionists have described the triune truth as Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Some of your psychiatrists use the terms superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. Some of your spiritualists say mind, body, and spirit. Some of your scientists see energy, matter, ether. Some of your philosophers say a thing is not true for you until it is true in thought, word, and deed. When discussing time, you speak of 3 times only: past, present, future. Similarly, there are 3 moments in your perception: before, now, and after. In terms of spatial relationships, whether considering the points in the universe or various points in your own room, you recognize here, there, and the space in between. In matters of gross relationships, you recognize no in between. That is because gross relationships are always dyads, whereas relationships of the higher realm are invariably triads. Hence, there is left-right, up-down, big-small, fast-slow, hot-cold, and the greatest dyad ever created, male and female. There are no in-betweens in these dyads. A thing is either one thing or the other, or some greater or lesser version in relationship to one of these polarities.
So that's where, the liberal left does have a point about, gender being on a spectrum. But again, it's more of semantics getting into the way of the word gender and sex. right? So the right is saying gender, sex, whatever. What's the difference? You know, the left saying there is a difference. So yeah, what we have named masculine and feminine, right? Or we can just, creative and destructive. That's what it boils down to: love and fear, right? So because yes, in a sense, gender roles have varied to a degree in different parts of time. Why? So, for example, in England, obviously there was, because they're the current rulers of this time, right? Every dynasty has its time, and everything falls apart. Power shifts like a pendulum, whatever. So, yeah, there was times where guys wore wigs. Now, it's mainly a Black American culture thing. The weaves and the wigs, right? They wore kind of high heel boots or whatever shoes, right? We had like a higher heel. I think they wore makeup as well, right? Both men and women wore makeup, right? And if you ever watched the greatest documentary of me, I think it's called Tram, the reality of me, right? You're going to see that me is talking about the world. It's seeing itself as the world, right? And it's showing you different cultures, right? In certain cultures, the men put on makeup and they have to, I forgot what they have to do. Yeah, the men have to put on makeup and the women select, something like that. Anyway, the point is, humans in different parts of the world, different times, have done things differently than what we consider normal, basically normal in this day and time, right? So some could say, oh my God, those men are just more feminine than masculine because they're wearing makeup. It's like, no, they're still doing the killing, they're still doing the protection. They just decided to use makeup and have this weird mating kind of strategy approach or whatever, based on their culture or whatever. But anyways,
within the realm of gross relationships, nothing conceptualized can exist without a conceptualization of its opposite. Most of your day-to-day experience is foundationed in this reality. Within the realm of sublime relationships, nothing which exists has an opposite. All is one, and everything progresses from one to the other in a never-ending circle. Time is such a sublime realm in which what you call past, present, and future exist interrelationally. That is, they are not opposite, but rather parts of the same whole, progressions of the same idea, cycles of the same energy, aspects of the same immutable truth. If you conclude from this that past, present, and future exist at one and the same time, you're right. Yet now is not the moment to discuss that. We can get into this in much greater detail when we explore the whole concept of time, which we'll do later.
Because it does play all the way through. Yeah, it has these weird like little musical interludes. I could do without them. I think I cut them off in my ultimate. Did I? Wait, did I? Yeah, I think I made it for YouTube and then they took them down or whatever. But anyway, so that was track 9 of 48. There's 2 more books. Obviously, we're not even close to 48. So again, it gave me an excuse. I'm just playing it as it came from the actual organization, right? So you're not. I could do 2 tracks right now, but I rather just it gives me an excuse to create content, right? But so anyways, again, check out my website, ourtribe.me. Join if you want. I don't know when I'll get done with that video, but I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'll talk to you guys later. You guys are just gonna be like, holy shit! Like when it goes viral, and you guys gotta help me make it viral. Obviously, that's what I predict. That's when I deeply meditate and like, oh shit, like that's why I made this one video called Once Upon a Time on Earth. I'm making it's gonna be different versions of it, right? So yeah, Once Upon a Time on Earth, you got basically my video goes viral. Everybody basically passes it around, listens, and applies what I constructed, right? And I would say not everybody. Actually, let's say this: it was more like 80% of people did it, so the rest of the 20 just had to follow, right? 70-80% did it, and the rest just had to follow because group dynamics, group pressure, group consciousness, right? So that's why you shouldn't be surprised that basically the leaders are a reflection of the group consciousness, right? So right now, as mad as you can be at the powerful whatever, those that are in power are there because of the current level of consciousness throughout, with the group. So If the leaders are corrupt, that means the majority of people themselves are corrupt. That if they were to be put in the same position, nothing wouldn't change, because by average, by average, the law of averages, whatever, they would do the exact same thing if they were in that position. They would be corrupted. Now, of course, nothing is forever. So at one point, someone will have to grow up and, let's say, break not the generational curse, but in this case, the humanity curse. And I think I'm one of them, right? I'm going to be one of them, and then I guess I will inspire. I don't know who's inspired me, except for the most part Elon Musk, but he's not really. See, he's giving just like there's different ways of giving money back. Okay, so there's just I'll be giving just like that without condition. Well, no, sorry. The condition was basically if you donated, right? But it wasn't like necessarily a condition like in the typical sense, but. Anyway, so yeah, and then obviously a contributing society, when I create different solutions for people's problems and how it all ties to a whole holistic package, where when it's all combined together, we can basically have such a much more beautiful world. The point is, you'll be able to go wherever you want, right? There'll always be something to do, and as long as you're willing to contribute to something, you will be provided for at a very. We're gonna determine. I'm basically creating right after this. I'm gonna go finish that up, but determining a baseline level of the things you should have, right? And so what it would cost. So then the government, well, actually we the people we're supposed to be the government, right? But the app will allow us to do that more effectively instead of having this old school. We need representatives. Like, no, we actually have real time blockchain, right? Iris scan, fingerprint scan, everything. So there's no what's it called, fraudulent votes here, right? So we'll have real, and of course at this point people wouldn't want to lie, because if you lie, it's going to throw off the system numbers, right? Everybody's basically going to be factual, right? In a beautiful world, everybody's basically true. We'll be saying the truth, right? And so yes, we would vote to be like, okay, look at the scenario, this person deserves this, and then the money will be created, and bada boom, bada bing. Oh, okay. I could go on, but you need visuals, which they're over here, but not right now. Peace. We'll talk about it later.